Yep. What going on? Welcome to another live episode of Same Difference Podcast with your boy Ja. My co-host, she's not here today. Hopefully, she'll be here on the next one. But I'm here with a amazing professional woman that is killing like several games. Tell you the truth, like she has it locked down in several different areas. So I hope when we list everything that she does, it doesn't make anybody insecure because I do a lot, but she make me feel like me ain't doing much. Like I need to get my life together. You get what I'm saying? So when we bring her on, I hope that you have plenty of questions because I already got several questions. In fact, one of the things that she does is make books. So I hope that it went through, but there should be a bunch of links to all the books and her websites in the comments because I put that in there before the show even started. We're going to get into it with Dr. Elizabeth Slusher right after these messages. You know what we got to do right after this beautiful bean footage. Dr. Liz, there she is. There she is. How you doing this evening? How you doing?
I'm well. I'm well. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Anybody in the chat? How you doing? We have Dr. Elizabeth Slusher. She got a lot going on, which made it difficult to even think about where to start. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself to the people before we get into this discussion.
Okay. So my name is Dr. Elizabeth Slusher. People call me by several names. My mother calls me Elizabeth, but college friends call me Liz. High school friends call me Liz, and family call me Liz. At work, they call me Dr. Slusher. I am originally from St. Croix in Christiansted. Welcome to be exact. And I don't know what else I need to say. I guess I will say I own a couple companies. I work as a nurse in the daytime. And yeah, that's it.
So we've heard about a Renaissance man. You, with everything that you do, I would call a Renaissance woman because you see how casually she says it. I have a couple companies, but she does so much stuff, right? She forgets some of the stuff. Like she wrote several books in I can't even say in your spare time because do you have any? Do you have spare time? Is that a thing?
I actually schedule it now. I schedule a spare time and
Okay.
it's better that way. That way I know I'm taking it and everybody knows I'm taking it.
All right. So these books, they should be the links to them should be in the comments. This one, if I'm not mistaken, has a part 1 and 2, or first and a second edition.
It does. It does.
Man.
Nursing is near and dear to my heart. It might have a 3. I don't know. We'll have to see. I did
And,
this
and
one with my daughter.
it's not all for female nurses either. You have your MRS, your male nurse companion journal planner also.
Of
All
course.
right. We have Working Through Grief, A Boy's Journey. So it's not all catered to girls. Shunt Happens. What is that one about, please? Shunt Happens.
So I actually have it back here, but Shunt Happens is because I have a friend who had hydrocephalus. And with that disease process, they have to usually get a shunt. They have to get a shunt because they develop fluid, on the brain. And so she said, I have so many appointments. I have so many things to go to. I have to remember this, I have to remember that. And then because of the fluid, she could be forgetful. So I said, okay. And she inspired me just to make her a book, that had where she could put her appointments. She could talk about her disease process. Some days she would have a bad day. So she can write it out and say, this day sucks. I hate this day. I hate that I'm going through this. And so I'm a believer of that, and being able to just vent on that level. And so that's what shunt happens mean, because you have to get a shunt.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good night, Venice. How you doing? Don't forget, please share the live. Share the live. Let people join the conversation as well, because I think this is an important conversation to have, because it shows that all of us could do this if you know how to schedule your time. I guess if you're good at time management, or you want to be, this gotta be the person that you gotta talk to, because I got some stuff I want to ask of myself, because I'm trying to get into the merch business, even though I kind of have already. But we're gonna start from the beginning.
Okay.
When did you decide that you want to go the nursing route? Because you have a doctorate in nursing, is that correct?
I do. So I didn't start out wanting to be a nurse. My mother was a nurse in St. Croix. She worked Wang Louis Hospital. She retired from there. When I was going off to college, I decided to do healthcare management. And my mother looked at me and was like, nobody's going to listen to you in the hospital, in management, if you don't have a nursing background or medical background. I still wanted to do what I wanted to do. I still didn't want her to dictate what I wanted to do. And I thought I was going to be a CEO of a hospital. And that's a whole other story there. But I really thought I was going to school to be a CEO of a hospital. And when I got to school, I went to Norfolk State. I'm always going to represent my school, Norfolk State. And when I went there, I graduated and finished off, graduated, and then had a hard time finding a job. And then realized, okay, let me backtrack. Maybe my mother was right. Anyway, so I went back. I'm fast forwarding a bit, but I went back and did nursing. I realized that I was running from it. I worked in the naval hospital overseas and in Japan. And when I was there, all the nurses, the nurse chief, everybody would say, why are you not a nurse? Because I'm always inquisitive. I'm always wanting to know what they're doing. I was in administration, but I wasn't a nurse. And so I said, I've been putting this off. I've been putting it off for about 10 years. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go back to school and become a nurse. And that's what I did. And I haven't regretted it since.
Working in the medical field, and then knowing that your mother, that she worked for Wang Louis, right? I don't know if the Wang Louis she worked at is the Wang Louis we have now, but did she share any of those stories with you that kind of made you iffy about going into it, or did it inspire you more to go that route?
So to be honest, after high school, I wanted a break. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to study hard. I thought nursing was just going to be hard. It was going to be hard. It was going to be challenging, and I just wanted to get through. In our family, we are first generation student, or first generation college students. My mom was an LPN, so she went to career school. That being said, I was kid number 4, and so everybody in front of me went to college. So she just thought I needed to go to college. That being said, I just was like, I'm just going to go and kind of float my way through, and just do something, because she said I had to. And so when I realized then, okay, this wasn't challenging, because my first degree honestly was not challenging enough.
But it was not challenging enough.
It wasn't. It really wasn't. This was the first time in my life that I did not have to study to make a B.
Don't flex too hard tonight.
I'm just healthcare. I did healthcare management, and I did not have to study to make a B. I didn't. And so I said, something's wrong. Something's wrong, because I always had to study. This does not make sense. However, I was too far gone in it. And then you know how we are. You 18, 19 years old, and your mother told you what to do, and now you don't want to admit that she was right. Like,
True.
no, I'm not doing that. So I'm holding strong, But I just felt that nursing was going to be too much. It was going to be too much hard work. It was going to require me to do too much, and I just wanted to chill. And, and that's the truth. However, when I decided to really get serious about it is when I realized that I needed a challenge. I needed a challenge, and working in the hospital, I was bored with ensuring that the medical staff had all the credentials to work, to do what they were supposed to do. I was like, this is boring. I just want to see the surgery. I want to see the guts. I want to see the blood. This is boring. So that's when I went on back and became a nurse. That was challenging. The first degree wasn't, but this one, I studied. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was up studying.
So the challenge kind of pushed you, like that motivated you, and it did it when it wasn't challenging. It wasn't like, oh, I want to keep doing this. You wanted the challenge. All right.
Right. I wanted to go a little further. Hey, Lana.
That's what's up. Now, when you went back to school, at which point was it that you decided to go Delta? Because if you look on your page, you rep the crimson like no other. Like,
absolutely,
it's dripping red.
Absolutely. So actually, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you did.
Okay, so I became a Delta in Tokyo, Japan. I know I got you all confused. I became a Delta with my first degree. I before I went back to nursing school. So I was actually a Delta. I've been a Delta now for 17 years. And so I've been a Delta longer than I've been a nurse. And so I went and I became a Delta with my first degree. I am, as far as I know, unless I don't know some of the family members, the first Greek in my family, because my siblings and I are first generation college students. And so, hey, Daphne. And so we are first generation college students. And so there's no other Greek. When I've always been a person that I want to dig in and helping people, I want to do all types of stuff to help. And that's what I've been. When I recognize an organization that on that level was helping so many people, was providing services to the community and did not want anything in return, I thought, I got to get to know this. I have to be a part of this. This is bigger than me just doing something for someone. So now I could do some things for someone's with such a big organization. I haven't regretted it yet. I rep Delta all the time, whether I'm wearing the colors or not. They always in my heart, and I rep it hard. And I ensure that I represent my organization at the highest level.
Now, they have they have the Divine Nine. I'm sure you knew about the others. So what made you decide to pick out of 9 others this one? What did you see? What were you shown?
So for me with Delta, I had tunnel vision with Delta. What does that mean for me is I saw the other organizations, but I saw Delta doing the work. Now I'm friends with D9. Best friend is AKA lovely. However, in the moments that I needed to see what I needed to see, I saw Delta doing the work. Delta still does the work. Therefore, I wanted to be in a place that does the work, because you remember, I just said I needed challenges. And I have to have that in order for my life to run smoothly. I need to be challenged. I need to work. I need to make sure that my goals, visions, aspirations was aligned with whatever I joined. That I found in Delta. So although I saw the others, although I witnessed them doing different things, Delta seemed to have all the ideals for me that align with me. My husband believes I should be a Zeta, but we good. Delta. He's a Sigma.
Did you meet him in college or not?
I met him in Virginia while I was in college, but he was in the military.
Now, so you were the first in the family, or one of the first, to actually go to college and then to end up being one of the first to pledge. So, what were some of the common misconceptions about deltas and D9s? What were some that you came across?
So definitely that we worship, some other being other than God. That's a huge misconception about deltas. I have met some of the most Christian like women that make me say, okay, I know I'm a Christian. I know I pray. I know I believe. But these women are calling on the name of the Lord in a different manner. I need to level up. I need to level up. I need to focus on my relationship with God before we have anything, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a committee meeting, whatever it is, we are calling on the name of the Lord. We probably can get stuck in calling on the name of the Lord and forgetting our other purposes because we are a group of Christian women. Delta was founded on Christian principles. So I think that's the biggest misconception is, you bowing down to a statue, I don't know who or what those people are doing, but I am not bowing down to anybody's statue, nor do I see my sorors or my sisters do that. So I think that's the biggest or the most common misconception about deltas. And even I could speak on delta, I can't speak on the other D9s, but I have seen also Christians in the other D9s and representing God before we ever represent any other organization. Oh, I think you're muted.
The thing about it too is that D9s is bigger in the States than it is home. So it's relatively a new concept in the Virgin Islands. And this is a Virgin Islands podcast. So that's why I really wanted to put that out there, because it's not something that, like, as the States will have entire stores and stuff repping the D9, we don't have those kind of things. So that's why
absolutely. In St. Croix, we didn't. But guess what? My sorors out there, I know some of them are watching. We bring the store to you. The sorors, the Crujan sorors, hit 50 years this year. I celebrated with them. It was the best. The culture of being a Crujan and being a Delta and having that mixed. If I could just soak that up and bring that and bottle it up and give it to the Deltas in the States, they will have no idea. I love my stateside Deltas, for lack of a better word to describe it, but man, Crusians and then the Tomians came over too. We had a beach party, we had the meet and greet, we had all the very actual event was amazing. And it was the mixture of culture for me, because I am very much a Crujan and I am very much a Delta. And I was like, my gosh, I can't be no happier than this. This is a little heaven on earth.
So that's another maybe a common misconception that I've had, that like when you do stuff as a sorority or a fraternity, you gotta dress up a certain way, and the women gotta be wearing these beads and the colors and all of that. So it's not all tight up like that. It's a good mix.
No, I mean, we're talking about Delta right now. I'm a Delta. I'm wearing a completely different. I'm wearing yellow, yellow and black. But there is no requirements for us to wear when you see us dressed out in public and we're wearing whatever we're wearing. We choose to do it. We buy the merch. We spend the most money on merch. We do it. And you know what? I have the sassy Greek, so please keep spending, sorors, because you spend it from me too. And but I mean, hey, I gotta plug myself in, right? But truth is, we choose that. We choose to put on the, a pearl. We choose to put on something that says Delta. Just in random, we don't have to have. This is an example. I don't have to have a lipstick case that have Delta on it. I choose it. I made it. I sat and made it because I want to walk around with my crest. My colors are always here if I don't have it on. But if I have several things, and the things that we love, we tend to rep it. So I love Delta. I rep it.
I like that. The colors are always there. I like that. So let's get into it. So you mentioned that you have not one, but two businesses. One is the Sassy Greek, excuse me, and Priceless Dreams. Once again, you see the colors repping. It's always crimson. It's always dripping red. So let's get into that. What first? What? How did you come up with the name the Sassy Greek? What is that representing?
So, um, first of all, you born Crujan. We typically are not allowed to be sassy. Don't get chopped down real quick, right?
One
For
now.
those- I mean, we grown now, so we do what we want now, but to a certain degree, because if your parents are still alive, you're still not doing all that in their presence. That being said, the sassy Greek came from being not necessarily being rude or disrespectful, but more so because I wanted to be cutting edge. A lot of our merch can be made by third parties. So you may see similar things in different stores, and you may see on different websites, you may see different stores or vendors rather selling the same types of items. I have some of those pre-made or ready-made items, but very little. Most of my items I design, curate, and ensure that I make it different, that I make it look different, that is cutting edge, is sassy, and is very customized and personalized. So yeah, it's cutting edge for me. So that's where I got sassy from. To add with that, I felt like it was a good combination of the name because of my sorors. Lorna said, because I'm sassy, because of my sorors. My sorors can be a little bougie. I had the Priceless Dreams before, and I had a link to just Greek items, and they were not feeling that. They wanted to go on a website that specifically had items that match who they were and what they were, and didn't want to have to click on it separately. So I separated it out.
And what exactly does sassy mean to you? When you came up with this name, what were you envisioning as far as sassy?
So for me, cutting edge, different, and just not, not the same. Just not the same. Not providing the same items that everybody else does. Not giving the same items that everybody else sells. Not looking the same. I wanted it to be cutting edge, different. I wanted when people say, "Oh, well, where'd you get that T-shirt from?" or "Where'd you get that cup from?" It was, "Oh, that's a sassy Greek. Yeah, she doesn't make 500 of those. She may make 50. She may make 75. Things like that."
You had shown me your own personal gym bag that I thought was dope. Do
Oh
you sell that on the site, or is that just a one of one, or what?
no, so I do sell that. This is my personal gym bag, and I'll hold it up. It says, "A penny for your thoughts seems pricey." Um, this is one of the items that I drop ship. So I don't print this one myself. I just design and drop ship those. But it reminds me that I don't have, although I listen to everybody, I give people time. If I have to give you too much of my time, then a penny for your thoughts seems pricey.
I like it. I like it. That's a dope concept. And so the concepts that you get, they are original. They come from you or inspired by what you see, or where do you get the ideas from?
So it does. Sometimes people just in conversation have a conversation with me, and I think of stuff on my cell phone. I have a running notes. I have an iPhone, so I put it in the notes of things that maybe one word that I'll use later that will trigger me into making something that is inspired by someone. I get my ideas a lot, literally just by having regular conversations or thinking about certain things. Things that resonate with me. The nursing journal and planner for nursing school was because we grind really hard. My group and I grind really hard, studied really hard, met at libraries. I couldn't tell you the last time I've been in a library prior to nursing school. but I stayed in the library. We rented or, reserved rooms to be in the library to study. So when I was done, I wanted to be that person that helped the next person, the next generation who's coming for nursing. Let them see some of my notes, some of the notes that we took the time to write are actually in the book. So like they can go through, and disease processes typically don't change. So as some of the chronic diseases, so they can read it, they can learn it, they can study it. Some mnemonics that will help them, because I had to sing my way through. I am definitely a soca and gospel girl. And so I would have make up a soca song in a minute, like, studying a drug or something. Or if I had to call on the name of the Lord, I did that. But nursing school, anything I needed to do, I would do that. But my ideas definitely came from, having different conversations, thinking about different things, and my experiences.
That's what's up. So these are your ideas. You obviously, judging from what's behind you, you make the merch yourself.
Yes.
You print up this stuff.
This is an example.
How did you even learn how to do any of this?
So when we were younger, we did all kinds of stuff. We did sewing, cake decorating, all this different stuff back home. And I always like doing things with my hands. And back in 2018, 2017 era, I was crafting just, I did it for fun. I didn't have a business. I was just doing it for fun. I was doing it so that it's a pastime. And one, I learned a lot of trial and error. 2019, I got really serious. Trial and error. I have messed up so much material. I can teach you how to do a t-shirt, front, back, side, everywhere. And I can teach you all the mistakes too. That's how much mistakes I made. And that's how much I kept going to the drawing board. I paid also to be taught. But I understand that at the time, I thought I needed to do that. And sometimes you have to do that. In that manner, I realized, this person don't teach the way I learn. So I wrote down everything they said, but then I had to research it and come up with the way I need to do it. And so I made enough mistakes to perfect the craft. And yet still, I say to myself, there are still more things I can learn every day, on how to do certain things. I can talk about the weight of a t-shirt, the cotton that's in it versus the polyester versus the GSM, how much it's, all that stuff, because I studied it, because I wanted to, when I give you a product, I wanted you to feel like this is an expert giving me a product. Doing it scared. I give you the shirt. You don't know I'm scared. Like, what he gonna think? What he gonna say? What's gonna happen? But I will remake something before I gave you something that I would not wear. That's how I make sure that it's good.
And that's facts, because I have done the same thing. I have had somebody order a hoodie, and he ordered a particular color and stuff. And when I saw it, it didn't work. It didn't look good. And I was like, listen, man, I know this gonna prolong when you could get it, but I don't want you to get this, and I know you ain't gonna like it. Absolutely. I went right back to the drawing board, and then he loved the one that he did get. So it is a lot of trial and error. So maybe you could shed some light on how do we get past those growing pains as quickly as possible? Because I'm suffering growing pains. How do we get past that? What's the best thing we can do? Because when you're in the process, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. I think I kind of imagine that if I wanted to be the end user, I wanted to be the person that you provided a product for, what customer experience do I want that person to feel? How do I want them to feel with my product? How do I want them to, tell others about the product? Because your biggest advertiser is someone who has tried your product, someone who has enjoyed your product, or someone who did not enjoy your product. Hey, Yolanda. And so, imagine they didn't enjoy it. They are going to tell 30 other people.
Yeah.
Typically, when they enjoy it, they tell 5. They tell 5. That's the truth. They tell 5, but when they don't enjoy it, oh, her stuff was horrible. It didn't fit right. It peeled off really fast. All the different things. they will let 30 people know. So I think when you looking at growing pains, first you admit that you can make mistakes. That's one. Two, you commit to fixing them. So I have only had one customer from when I made my business official in 2019. I've only had one customer, knock on wood all over the place in Jesus' name, to ask to return something. And I was like, oh my gosh, because you make it, you feel insulted.
Yeah.
And
You're
they
sensitive
don't
about
mean,
this stuff. Yeah.
right, they don't mean to be insulting, but you feel insulted.
Yeah, for sure.
And right. And I don't even remember the reason, but I gave her the opportunity to return. I gave her a discount for her next item. I offered to remake it based on specifications. She said it was just that she just did not want it. And I was like, why? And it hurt. But if you remember to get through that, the fact that yes, it's personal because it's your business, but it's not personal to them. And they want satisfaction, whatever that means to them.
Mhm.
And you finally realize, okay, don't take it so personal. Be personal in how you make it and how you offer it. But if they don't like it, it is not a slight against you per se. It's just they didn't like it. And everybody don't like everything. And that's okay. That wasn't what I said back then, but that's how I got through it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe she was like, bro, you returning? And now I have to either decide if I'm gonna pay for the shipping to return it, or you're gonna pay for the shipping because you already paid for shipping when you ship. So it was rough. So I try my best to remember what it feels like to provide a good so I could provide a good customer experience. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a big part of it that the customer doesn't really understand, and I guess they're not supposed to. And we need to understand also that like feedback, criticism, all of that stuff is important, and we need to learn from it, not just like want to fight the person and stuff like that there. But it can be difficult. And I want anybody watching this, right, to understand that there is a difference between feedback and criticism. You know what I'm saying? Like feedback is something I can work with, something I could take and okay, I get why you said that. Let me work on that. Criticism is just saying like, hey, your product is trash. I can't do nothing with that.
right,
Which part of it? What happened? What you know what I'm saying? But if you tell
right,
me, hey, your product is peeling really quickly, I could do something about that.
right,
So there's a
right.
difference between
And if you
feedback and
find with
criticism.
somebody that says that, they're having a little trouble with that, you send them to me. I got the answer for that. I can tell you there's a couple of reasons why it's healing fast, and we
Yeah,
can work
okay.
on it. If you need help, I'll teach them.
That's what's up. Your soror asks, what is a quote that gets you unstuck and motivated again?
You could do a lot of things, but you can't do everything, and you can't do everything all the time. So, Siobhan, when I feeling like I need to get unstuck and motivated, I say that to myself. And sometimes I shut off the light in this craft room because this is my room where I create. I shut off the light and I get out of here and I go live life. Especially if I'm making a shirt and I've made one mistake, and then I say, "Oh my goodness," and I go back and I'm making the product again, and I make another mistake. Okay, you tired? It's time. And I say, you know what? You are trying to be everything in this moment. You can't be everything all the time. So I have to learn that. You know, we grew up being a lot of stuff. That's the truth. In the climate that we grew up in the environment we grew up in, those of you who are Crucians or even just Virgin Islands or even island people can relate. So I just do that. That's how I personally get unstuck and motivated again to do it. Yep,
Very
you
true.
can't be everything all the time. You can do a lot of things, but you can't be everything all the time.
So it's not just one online website you have two. So tell us a little bit about Priceless Dreams then.
So with Priceless Dreams, the name came out of me just crafting. I was crafting and would just send stuff to people, just send them to my friends. You know, they had to accept my stuff. Nobody ever said it was bad, so that worked out. They were my friends though, right? And so my mother-in-law at the time, and may her soul rest in peace, she said to me, why don't you just make a business out of it? Why are you playing around with this? And I was like, I don't know. And she said, your dreams are too priceless to just let it go like that. And I was like, man,
That hit.
you afraid? I was afraid to put myself out there. I was afraid because my friends accepted my things. Some of my very friends that's listening right now, they accepted my things. They were like, wow, you can make that. And Veronica, you're funny. But now that I was going to make a business and charge people, were they going to support me or were they going to go to the big person? You know, there's Delta vendors, there's other t-shirt vendors, there's a lot of vendors out in this world that I consider, you know, seasoned and been in business for years. Why would they not choose them? Why would they choose me? What makes me unique, you know? And when she passed, I was like, I had made her this shirt that talked about just that had the word faith on it. And that was the very last thing that I remember her getting from me. And when she passed, I was like, I have to do this. She told me why, and she was good at some lectures. So she told me, why would I just waste that talent? Why would I just sit there? And ever since then, I just say, you know what? I don't want to waste it. I want to do this. I want to. So that's how Priceless Dreams came. She said my dreams were too priceless to waste it. My talent was too priceless to waste it. So that's where that came from.
Good. Cool. I like that. And you know, people think that anybody who doesn't start, they're afraid of failure. But what I learned is there are people that are afraid of success as well. They're afraid of what would come out of, what if this does work? And I didn't learn that until like the podcast, we got it started and it started getting a following. And I started with a different co-host and how he started, he changed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like when there was three people watching, he was one way. But when the numbers started going up, like I got a different person. So that's something that we need to watch out for also, because fear of failure is just as bad as fear of success. It could hinder your growth. It could stop you from doing what you want to do. So what do you say to people who are just, they won't start? You know what I'm saying? They have something, you see it, they got a potential and everything, but they just won't go.
So I would definitely agree with you. Fear of failure and fear of success on each end of the spectrum, for me, I look at it the same way. You're right. Being what you're sitting there like, what if it does work out? What if 400 people order a t-shirt today? How will I get that all done? You know, what if they decide that they need the t-shirt in a rush time and it's all these customers? What if I get to 399 and I can't find that one size for the 400 one? You start, how do they say, kicking yourself in the foot, cutting off your foot first before anybody else does it. I would say for me, I learned at a young age about failure. I don't know how many people on this podcast went to school as long as I did, but I definitely repeated 7th grade. So I have an extra, I have an extra year of 7th grade. And so I understood what failure was, because you know how they'd be like, you stay back. I stayed back. I had a 68 average and I needed a 70. 68.8, I believe is what it was. And I needed a 70. So I learned at a very young age about resilience and bouncing back. I also could tell you that doesn't mean that I wasn't afraid. That doesn't mean that I didn't actually do it afraid. I think back then I had to do it afraid because you couldn't. What was I going to do? I was going to stay back again or never finish, or that wasn't an option. But as an adult, I still go back to some of those scared places at times, and then I have to pull myself out. Like, okay, so what's the worst that could happen? You could actually succeed. You could actually succeed. It could actually work out. I would tell people who are afraid, put a plan in place, start small, do one thing at a time, find a mentor if you need to, find a sponsor if you need to. And of course, there's a difference between that. And I recently learned that. I didn't realize that I've had several sponsors in my life and also several mentors. However, just putting one foot, I know people say it all the time, a metaphor, put one foot in front of the other. Just don't say to yourself that I'm here and I'm stuck and I can't do anything about it, because you will cut your foot off first. So I don't have the money to do this. I don't have, okay, well then what's the plan to get the money? What's the plan to get to this step? Making preparation for how you get to the next step is super important. So even when you're thinking about, I don't know about this, it makes me so scared, I'm afraid, making a plan, deciding that you are not going to fail. That is actually, that's really my biggest overall arching thing. I will not fail because I don't like what it feels like to fail. I've done it. And I don't consider anything that something that somebody else may think I failed, I now consider it a lesson. I consider it a lesson. I consider it like, oh, okay, that didn't work out, but this taught me this. So next time, this is how I'm going to handle this. And I will say I have pushed out 400 shirts, for 400 of the same shirts for a group or so. That's why I use the number 400. And while I was sitting there saying, I don't know how I'm going to get it done, I got up and got it done. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to pass it up. I'm going to say, okay, my company is too small because I'm just me. And I am just me.
I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I've felt the bottom before, so I don't have anything else to be scared of. So I'm not scared of falling because I felt the floor. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that Nike slogan is a lot more profound than people really thinking. Just do it. Like, because we could come up with 1,000,001 excuses not to start or not to do something. But if you tell yourself, just do it, just start where you are, just go. You know what I'm saying? You know how many times, how many dreams have not launched just because they come up with, oh, what about the money? What about this? What about that? But if you had started where you were, after you listed out that year's worth of excuses, you could have been somewhere else a year later.
Because the only thing that keeps moving is time.
Exactly.
If you didn't move, the time's still gonna move. You're gonna end up in the same place next year.
Just do it, man. Just do it. Just start. Start where you are. Yeah, don't wait until you get enough money to get a drone and a professional production company and employee. Like, you gotta start where you are.
Right. I agree.
Now, what? So you are a nurse with a doctorate. You currently work at the VA Medical Center where you are, correct?
Yes.
Now, you have worked with civilian people and vets. Is that correct?
I have.
Would you say that it's different? Is it a different experience?
To work with the veterans, it is a different experience. You have to have a different level of compassion. Many are dealing with much more than just, for instance, somebody who never been in the military may not deal with PTSD, for instance, or may have diabetes. They both have diabetes, but this one is dealing with PTSD. And the PTSD doesn't even have to be from war. It could be that they were deployed when their elderly father died as a result of diabetes. So now they're afraid to address the disorder or the disease because they feel like, wow, if I address that, I now have to address the fact that I was not there when my father passed away. And I was busy serving America in that time frame. So you don't know what they're dealing with, but they have a whole different thought process at times. So you have to deal with that. You have veterans, most recently within the last 10 years, just about women veterans, you find out that the ear protection that they had was made for men's ears. Men's ears are made differently than women's ears, just about. I didn't know as much about ears because it's not something you just automatically study. But when you find a woman and you have to take care of women vets, then and they have ear problems, they may have been a result. That may have been a result because they use ear protection, but it wasn't really protecting their ears properly.
That's why they don't listen.
Oh, well, now maybe other reasons why they don't listen. No,
I get it now. It is a different time.
You wanted to tell a woman veteran that. Now you can use that as the excuse. But that being said, same thing with the boots. Years ago, the boots weren't made specifically for women's feet. You know, we have that wider toe box a lot of times, you know, than the men and stuff like that. So they had different feet problems. And you found that there's a lot of studies that were being done that showed the difference between a woman vet and a male vet. You know, when you said veteran, people automatically thought about men. So that's another thing, dealing with women. And I love taking care of veterans, and I especially love taking care of women veterans. I might be a bit biased on that just because we have a complex set of needs. But I take care of them all the same, treat them all the same. But I really resonate with women and ask them those specific questions. I take the extra trainings to make sure that we are being culturally sensitive to the women's side of things. I understand my doctoral project was actually focused on increasing cervical cancer screening for women vets within the VA system. And so I take that near and dear to heart, women's health. So yeah, I think it's a bit different than working with I call it the civilian side of things. Oh, you're on mute.
With all those businesses, you write books, you make your own merch, you do the online thing, you have a family and a successful VA career. When do you sleep, Liz? Tell the people, Liz. Do you sleep?
That sounded a little rough on the end. She said that on purpose. Tell the people, Liz. Well, I sleep before 4 o'clock. I wake up at 4:02. I don't like waking up on the hour. So we're going to leave it at that. When I try to get to bed now, because I exercise really hard at 5 in the morning, and I want to make no excuses for that. So I don't want to say I'm tired, so I can't get up to exercise. So I get up at 4:02 because of Daphne, don't tell them that. She doesn't. I don't sleep. I rest.
You rest. Okay.
When I go out of town, so that's my best friend that's answering. And when I go out of town, especially with them, with the group of friends, and she's included, she literally just sent me a picture before I got on the podcast of me getting ready to take a nap in my full makeup gear because we're getting ready to go out. But I need a nap. So I do naps. I do naps. I can do 20 minutes. I can do 20-minute naps. And I'm not saying this is good. I'm still trying to find that balance. I do better now because I used to stay up until midnight, or more. But now I try to get to bed before midnight because I gotta wake up at 4:02 to get to the gym and exercise. I gotta show up for me. I'm waiting to see my best self with that. And so I can't fail on that for me. So I might have went off on a tangent because Veronica wants to answer this question about sleep. Daphne said I don't sleep. They got the answer.
They know the answer already, yeah.
Right, they know the answer. I am picking it a little bit more. I would say if I in the last couple of months, because I made sure to commit to getting up and doing that, I would say I probably added an hour back to my sleep. I said, I'm done. I quit. I'm not doing anything else. It is 10 o'clock. I got to go to bed. And that's what I do. So
They
I
do
don't have a
say
good
doctors make the worst patients.
Yeah, yeah, I do need to do better on sleep. But when I sleep, boy, woo, and they always laugh at me because we go on if my girlfriends and I do any get-togethers or we go somewhere, they're like, so we going like we recently got off of a cruise and they're like, we going to the club, right? I was like, yeah, I'll meet y'all there. I'm gonna take a nap. I woke up the next morning. I woke up the next morning and they were like, you did not come back down. We were texting you, babe. She was asleep. That boat was rocking and I was gone. And so I would say that when I have a vacation away from doing things with my hands, I do sleep. Because I can't do anything.
All right. Well, as long as you know you're wrong.
I am. People try to get some good sleep because that's how you recover your muscles.
You tell it now you
George
know.
George. Now he got inside information. Don't tell the people.
I don't know which one is more disturbing. The fact that you don't get any sleep or when I see things like this. First alarm, 5:07 a.m. That means there's more than one. And listen, especially if you're using an iPhone alarm, which is the worst alarm to wake up to. Y'all know y'all love his sleep, man. That's why I don't go out like you. And if you're telling me, hey, the party start at 10, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they got me there too. Y'all should have started this party at 8. Exactly. We could be out after 10, but you starting at 10? Let me get a nap in first.
Make gay parties great again. All that going out, you know what I'm saying? And we gonna be out till 4, 5. Nah. And there's some rules like we could go Friday or Saturday. We ain't going out both. You know what I mean?
Right. You're right. The other day, around my birthday, I went out. My husband and I went to a soca party. They don't normally have them in my part of town here in the Memphis area, and I had the most fun. We had a great time, but it was headed to 1 o'clock, and we were like, "You can go home." People were still in the line to come inside. People were still in the line to come inside when we left. I had enough. Shut this thing down. What are they doing? Why are they still coming?
I feel that. Yeah.
They were still coming inside. I said, oh no, I gotta go to bed. I don't have anything to prove. I have nothing to prove. I have been there. I have done everything. I have nothing to prove.
This is one thing I could say. You don't want to be like her. With everything else, sure. But this is one thing you don't want to listen to the doctor on this one. Get some sleep, people. Sleep is important.
Yes, I do agree. Get some sleep. I'm learning. I'm scheduling that time now. I'm doing a little better.
Schedule the time off, the spirit time. All right, that's what's up. Now, what would you tell someone that is considering getting into the medical field? Because it seemed like you've been on multiple sides of it. What would you tell us?
It's rewarding. Don't get into it for the money, but it's rewarding when you have that patient that, and I don't want to make it lengthy, but one of the things that stuck with me was a patient in my first year of being a nurse. I was on the med surg floor and I used to work 312s. So I would try to work my 312s and then be off for another 5, 6, days. That being said, every day I got report, we were trying to have her to go to the bathroom. We were trying to have her to use the bathroom. She was very constipated. She was an elderly woman, probably could be my grandmother at the time. And we were working so hard on her going to the bathroom. I mean, backing her up with everything. If you're on this call or you're watching this podcast and you're in the medical field, lactulose. We gave her Marilax, lactulose. We need to give you fluids. because of her age, didn't do the 2-digit, with the fingers, but gave her everything. And we were on day 3, worked 12-hour shifts. So I was in like 6:52 until 7 o'clock that night. And right about 6:15, her son calls and says, I think my mom wants to go to the bathroom. So we had instructed her not to get up until somebody helped her. So I rushed to the room because now I'm shutting it down. I'm getting ready to give a report. These people need to come get these patients. It's my Friday. It's my last day. It's my Friday. I need to go home. I am done. So let's just call her Miss Smith. Miss Smith, I come into the room. I say, hi, Miss Smith, you need to go to the bathroom. And I help her up. And as I'm helping her up to get her to the bathroom, Miss Smith let it out. It went out all over, on my shoes, on my scrub pants, on the floor. And every step we took, I'm sorry. And I'm like, Miss Smith is okay. I start clapping. It's fine. We're good. Let's go. You going to the bathroom. And that stuck with me. I was excited about somebody pooping on me, who was not a baby, who was not my baby. She was an elderly woman. But it hurt. Her stomach was distended. She really needed to go. And my thought process was, she has met the goal. I threw them shoes away. When I worked, I was told to always have an extra pair in my locker and some pants. And I'm glad I did that day. But my shoes was gone. I was disgusted and smiling because I did not want her to feel bad about her bowel movement on my feet and my pants. But it was rewarding because every day we gave report back to the nurse that had her or I had her. We would say, still no bowel movement. It's been 10 days, blah, 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 and it really hurt her. She was worried. She had other things going on, but she really needed to go. And because of that, that's why I said you can't do it for the money. You got to do it for the fulfillment of helping someone. Whatever their goal is, it may not be that they would get better from a chronic disease, but it literally, for her goal was to go to the bathroom. Can you imagine? And once she did, at that point, I took Miss Smith in the shower, and me and her and my shoes and everything was wet. Because I was like, I'm not cleaning. This don't make no sense. I ain't cleaning this like this. This is going to be a bunch of wipes. It's going to be too much. We get in the shower, put it right in the bathroom shower. By the time I finished, my shift had ended about an hour and a half. Because by now I haven't given report to none of the nurses. So the patients are still yours when you can't hand them off. But I was helping Miss Smith, and I didn't think it was right to give it off to the next nurse because I was a team player. But that's why you have to have it in your heart. Anybody that wants to get in the medical field, do not get in it for the money. It's not glamorous. People could poop on you. I despise, and I put it out there, I despise respiratory. I don't like trachs. I don't want to suction you. The gurgling is disgusting. But guess what? I've had to do it because if you're dying on the bed because you're gurgling and you got a trach and I'm going to do like this, but I'm going to suction it because I want to save your life. Because it's not all glamour and glitzy and Stanley cups and, and I say Stanley cups because that's the new thing on the nursing scene. Everybody got one, right? We got the Stanley cups of work. However, it's not just that. It's you having a heart to help people and to wanting to help them reach their goal, whatever that goal may be, whatever that illness that they're trying to get over or feeling better. In that manner, you are there for that reason and that purpose. So you can't forget that.
That was good because that story time would either really inspire someone or scare them off if they're not serious. That was very good.
Yeah, you're right. Dignity.
No,
do it all with dignity. That's it.
That's what's
I
up.
threw them shoes. I didn't throw them shoes in front of her because she would never know that I was so disgusted. As soon as I left that room, them shoes, they never made it out the hospital. They did. I was disgusted. I was like, come on, Miss Smith. But she needed it. Mm-hmm.
That's what's up. Congratulations, Miss Smith. You got that out of there. And she was able to leave?
She was able to leave.
Okay.
By that time, that was my Friday, but they said she was good. Because if you think or suspect that there's a blockage, that's a whole different thing. So the
Yeah.
fact that they were able to work that out, the medicines and the different things, lactulose should have done it a long time ago, but it wasn't. So they were suspecting certain things. So yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, that's that was a crazy story. I know I don't have the heart or the stomach for it. My stomach weak, but like I can't even watch them pimple popping videos. So please, like she said, yeah, don't do it for the money, man. Do it for the love. Because we have I do hear a lot of complaints about people's heart not being in it. Like it is kind of a customer service job. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, they're sick, but they still expect a certain level of care as they should.
Right. But when you feel sick, do you want to be mistreated or do you
Of
want to
course
be
not.
with
No, I
extra
don't want to
care?
be mistreated ever. I don't want to be
Right.
mistreated
So
ever.
imagine
Right.
being sick. Right. So
Yeah.
you want to be treated with extra care. You want
Right.
somebody to take that time to understand that even just maybe a shower would make you feel better, stuff like that. You don't want to be in the bed. You don't want to be in a bed in a strange bed in a hospital with machines, everything hooked up to you, and you have the nurse saying, "Well, what do you want?" when you call her, because you're not going to want to call her. Either you are, or you're going to overly excessively call her. So,
Do you think that we as the patients also maybe we need to give some grace sometimes and recognize that these are people, or it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't go both ways on this? What do you think?
I mean, I think so, but I also think that the nurse or even anybody in the medical field will probably just kind of wait for that. And I don't mean to be rude, but these are sick people and we want to be respected. We both want to be mutually respected, but that's not always going to be the case. So telling a patient under any circumstance that, I don't have to be here or I don't have to take care of you, inappropriate. However, I do set boundaries. I have set them in the past if I had to, because there are certain things that we shouldn't say to each other. Doesn't matter what my color of my skin is. I'm taking care of you. So if you don't want the color of my skin in your room, that's fine. But let me know and don't abuse me on it, and I will let the charge nurse so she can make some decisions. This is not now, this is in the past, but those are the types of things that I do address because I can't change my skin color. I was born this way. So we don't have to talk about my skin color and what I could do for you. You need to believe in the fact that I'm going to take care of you. And if you don't, then I've lost you as a patient. You have no confidence in me. So maybe I should get you the charge nurse so she can make some different decisions. She actually didn't. She said to her, "This is not what we do." So that worked out. She said, "We don't choose nurses based on color, ma'am. So I don't know what to tell you." However, she said, "Well, why can't I have one of you?" She said, "Because we treat everybody the same." She stood up for me that day. So that's the only time I feel like the mutual, when you come into that disrespectful part. But as far as that goes, you may have a patient that's very grumpy. A lot of stuff is happening. They're ill. They have things going on at home, whatever the case may be. If you be as sweet, you be as knowledge, just giving them the knowledge that they need and the care that they need, even if they're short with you, then you have to I think they'll be okay. I think you should be okay. Again, not taking it personal. I have nursing students, or I had up until the other day. They just finished their semester. But I'll give you an example. One of the nursing students, I told her, she said she couldn't get the vital signs. That's one of the first things they have to do. And I said, "Why?" And she said, "I went in there and he kind of shouted that I needed to get out." I said, "No problem. Let's go back in there." So I went back in there and I said, "Hey, Mr. So-and-so, I'm instructor Slusher, and I have my student. And she said that you weren't feeling very well today. You didn't want her to take the vital signs." And he was like, "It's so early." And it is. They're starting on their shift at 6 a.m. So you could be disturbing that patient. And I said, "Okay, it's a bit early." I said, "How about this? Would you like us to come back in a couple of hours, take the vital signs, give you your medications all at one time so that we don't disturb you as much? I said, would that be better for you? Do you think that that's okay? He said, yeah, I need some sleep. And I said, okay. I said, the hospital is hard to get sleep in because that's a reminder to him, like, these machines going to beep. We're going to come in here. Something's going to happen. But I gave him sort of like an expectation, and in that moment, the nursing student, when we walked out, I said, what did you learn from that experience? She was like, he was pretty grumpy, but you set the tone. I said, yeah, you will get more confident as you get older in nursing. So I set the tone with him. He felt like he made the choice that he did not want to see us right then. But I also made the choice that when we come in, we're going to do everything. You're going to get the bed bath, you're going to get your meds, and you're going to get your vital signs, and you're going to allow my student to do this so that she can get her grade. And she was like, and he didn't disagree with you. I said, I didn't give him a choice. Kind of. He thought that he did, but he didn't have one. So the thing is, I think that was a mutual respect thing in which he had a choice as to not have us in there at 6, but by 9 o'clock we were back in there because I gave him a time frame. So we can do that, but we cannot expect that the patient won't be upset, or you're trying to control somebody else. Almost impossible.
True. I got one last question for you.
Okay.
So we got the Orange Man making all kinds of news ever since he stepped foot in office, and you're in kind of a unique position because you're working in a VA clinic, which is one of the facilities or government entities that is getting, job cuts and all that stuff. Have you been seeing any differences in the VA under the Trump administration?
I would say no. I think we as nurses and professional medical people, we keep reminding ourselves to stay focused on the care of the veteran. Stay focused on the care of the veteran. Don't, the news can get really, the news is big. It's out there. It's a daily occurrence or a weekly or, every Friday or whatever however you want to put it. But reminding my staff and my chief reminding us that if we stay focused on the care of the veteran, we stay focused on our purpose as to why we are not only working as nurses, but working as nurses in the VA system, why we choose to take care of veterans, then that's what I keep at the forefront. So for me, I haven't seen the changes necessarily. I do think that some people did change or left or so, but nursing and medicine wise, we've been holding that boat steady because we have to take care of our veterans. Lincoln's promise for the VA, for the mission, was that we would borne the battle for those who have borne the battle for us. And that is what I tell the staff every time we have staff meetings. This is what we need to focus on. Keeping the veterans safe with the best care, giving them comprehensive care. This is all in our mission and vision. So I just keep reminding myself while I remind them. This is what we do. This is the heart and core of what we do. We can't focus on the outside forces. We have to focus in and take care of the veteran. Once we take care of the veteran, we can't go wrong. We just can't.
I like that. This has been a dope interview. I appreciate you coming through. You dropped a lot of gems, shared a lot of valuable information today. So thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate it.
Thank you to everyone out there. I see a lot of, I saw family, I saw friends, I saw sorors. I appreciate you.
What final words do you have for the audience that you want to leave them with?
Get some sleep. Don't do like me. I think just enjoy life. Control the controllable. You can't control a lot of other things, so just control the controllable. And that's what I try to do. Control the controllable. And you don't have to be everything at all times. You can do a lot of things, but you can't do everything. That's what I would leave.
All right, that's amazing. Thank you. Gems all night been dropping them. You're great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I want to shout out Dr. Elise, of course. I want to shout out everybody that was in the comments, all of the viewers, everybody. The engagement was great. Thank you. Thank you. Please share the live. Like I said before, all of the links are in the comments with all of the books, both online businesses. They're there. Go ahead and check it out. Support your own, man. Support your own people.
For sure,
Uh,
for sure.
Down below,
I
as you
want.
can,
Oh,
go ahead.
get them a little cruise on. We're gonna leave them with that.
Down below, as you can see, these are our socials. VI underscore very underscore own is the YouTube. Same difference is the Facebook. And on Sundays, we're on 101.3 FM, Raw FM's Facebook page. We stream live there as well. And speaking of medical and health and wellness, we will be co-hosting a health and wellness virtual workshop with Don Wells, the owner and lead medical fitness practitioner and a blood-based nutritionist of DWF Wellness. This cost is only $7. So she's telling you science-based practices on how to, do better. And this is about healthy lifestyle changes. This is not dieting. This is not none of that stuff. We're not talking about expensive trickery. We're not talking about you got to ship off for meds or none of that stuff. So that's happening May 13th and 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, $7, a virtual workshop, 2 days. Me, Nisi, and Don Wells, and we have a special guest. It is talking about the 3S method. The 3 S's are science, support, and spirit. We'll be getting into the whole holistic lifestyle and all of that. So if you're interested, go ahead and you can contact us also. But as for me, all I want to say, man, is thank everyone once again, and please support your own. I want to say that just do it. Like, stop talking yourself out of doing stuff, because nobody, I don't know. You can verify this for me, Dr. Liz. Have you ever met anyone that was like on their deathbed and was like, I wish I could go to work more often? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's the regrets that they have.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Like she said, go out there and live. Do the stuff and really try your best to live up to your potential. Once you find that thing that really drives you and motivates you, I guarantee you there will be nothing to regret.
Mm-hmm. No regrets.
Most times we regret what we didn't do.
Absolutely. I agree.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Peace, everybody. That's
Yeah.
Dr. Liz. I'm Jad. This same difference. We love you. We out. Peace.